well-known duo. It's actually their trio mate in and Minish, right? So when we kind of talked about, or when we kind of mentioned Visual and Braids ending the year with double force in Major number 2 and Major number 3, and Minish was right there with them. So finished the year very, very good last year as a Minish, and then gonna go ahead and pick up Javi right here. Not necessarily a player known for any pop-up performances or any like notable placements in FNCS Grand Finals, but for some reason, like Kelly mentioned, coming out of the play-ins, they got first place there, so they were like Grand Finals. But for some reason, like Kelly
Yo, how's it going, Kai? Earn. We know that works. Alright, I'll turn it up.
I just feel like this is such a different like tone of FNCS, right?
You see Bucky and Zen just won. They're going to Grands.
Grands, yeah, that's pretty good. But there's also a summit like right after that. That seems pretty good. Maybe I want to try and make that. So I don't know. I think a lot of these teams are thinking the same thing. How do we secure a spot on the battle bus going to the summit? With that being said, though, we'll talk about that more later on. For now, game number 2 is ready. So casters, over to you.
Good. I'm doing good.
Already things are heating up.
Bucky and Zen
for the high ground. Multiple teams involved.
Here, they might play it.
To Bucky and Zen, but one game down. 4 games left to go. Instead of the usual 6, Monster, things will continue to fly by.
Yeah, and I mean, the vibes are looking pretty good right now. If you're Agents of Ritual, though, talk about just control, right? This should be a shoe-in for them moving forwards again. At this point in time,
to be honest, this heat is kind of bad. There's like no massive
Shadow,
teams, I think.
I
think Shadow and Virgil are kind of frying right now.
Really excited.
And then like I think Zavi and Minish, but apart from that, nobody is really.
Yeah, we saw a little bit in EU where there was like a point threshold where a team, I think in 9th place, went down and they lost their shot at the actual finals through heat. They're gonna have to play through LCQ. So as the day continues to progress, I'm gonna be looking at some of those teams on the bubble and how well they hold on to the pressure. But game 2 is here, so let's jump right into it.
Heat 1's game 2 is now on the way. You know, the action here was very, very nice in game number 1 is we had about 86 or so players drop just coming out of zone 1. So I'm really curious to see if we'll see 10 or 15 players fall even faster now. Usually, traditionally on NA, Jacob, as you know, game 1's the slowest, but Heat 1 seems to be moving relatively nicely.
I think the best team right here is Agers.
I think it's going to be dictated all the same here. It's a pickaxe battle, something you don't even necessarily see every day. Shockwaves to create a little bit of distance out of the first AR. Flies is able to get at least one player down weak, but Nut and Prom survive the onslaught. They're able to get the drop to themselves.
Yeah, I went live as they won, so I haven't been able to watch the clip yet.
I was going to say, that's not strategy. That's just rolling the dice at this point, you know, just whatever happens, how it lands, it'll land. But at the end of the day, hey, they get to continue to do what they've been doing. They made the most out of the game 1, obviously. They're up in that high 50-point threshold, so it's great momentum for them. Meanwhile, Blake and Preston trying to make the most of their drop spot here at the Latte Landing and actually catch themselves a nice Elam, so putting themselves on the board here.
Yep, and throughout most of the season, too, Blake was somebody through different teammates that always landing towards Fort Field. And I'm not sure what prompted the change, but maybe if you know you're going to be contested, because that's what history says for someone like Blake, might as well make it worth it. Switch on over towards Latte Landing, so if you do win the fight, you get a lot for it. They already have one elimination, and they're just looking for that solo player, Plezzy, who's just hiding around the corner.
Yeah,
so
Curly is pretty he's not underrated anymore, but I don't know who Curly's playing with.
Shots. Plezzy hits the first. Blake gets dropped down to about 50 HP. Quickly slides out the window. Now trying to put some damage onto Preston, but that time and moment has come and gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say big threat
Plezzy's
coming out
pretty
of the shot there,
but
unfortunately couldn't get the follow up or lock him up. So this is gonna be only a matter of time for Plezzy now. If he can't find a way to exit, they've lost him for a second here, so he's been very hard to pin down.
Things to where how much time do you spend looking for him before you kind of continue on with the rest of the game?
Yo, this is hilarious, bro. Look at
not sure if he's playing for the actual card or to catch him off guard yet again. Missed that first opportunity exactly. Blake is going to be able to stay alive, return back to the scene of the crime, try to land some damage.
Yo, he just whiffed that.
Gets into the mix as well, and they get that elimination. It may have taken more time than they have hoped, Monster, but at least they got the job done.
Yeah, Blake and Preston deserve that elimination there. You can't miss your shots when you're under pressure.
Yo, why are
They had the
Agers and
one-on-one
Rich
opportunity
so
for Agers and
stacked?
Ritual, though, like we said, pretty much the most chill duo in this lobby as far as the top pros are concerned. You know, they're all business. No games here. Like what we're seeing though. Hit their drop in and out and already off to the races here. Look at the highlight for the Ewan though. This is how they clean up flows here. Too smooth.
It's actually good. I thought we were going
here's
to see them
Curly.
kind of fly off of Sandy Strip with the blob that they use, with the shockwave grenade, but no, clean, simple.
Yeah.
Sticking to the game
Here's
plan,
Rise and
just
Curly,
a different fashion.
if you
On
wanna
over to
watch
Painted
this.
Palms. Last game, Monster, we saw Rise and
Since
Curly
you're
actually split
Curly
this drop.
fan.
I'm not sure how much that played in a role into them being below the damage threshold for a good portion of the early game, but this time around,
Yeah,
it seems
like
they're
I just want some
refusing
FNCS
actually
to play,
split it,
bro.
unless they get forced by some other way.
Yeah, I'd argue that this
Curly's
is where
on controller,
they
right?
were in way too much of a stressful situation, given that they, again, like you just mentioned, played it very passively and moved out. I'd like to see them engage a little sooner, not have that early surge issue, and then go for better positioning later. And as we talk about that, unfortunately, Jesus just gets
Oh,
gifted
Virgo
the
and
team that
Shadow
was
are
lurking
keying
nearby,
Nut.
so could have arguably earned those points themselves. But on over to Shadow and Virgo here for a moment. We've got Nut and Prom
This
on the
Nut kid,
back
if I
heels here,
know
pushing
right,
back.
he's.
Seems like their
I
ambush
watched a
was a bit
video
of a
back
failing
when he got his
attempt here.
first earnings when he was like 13 or something.
Not bad, but also not too surprising from Shadow and Virgo. They kind of land just south of Frigid
Yo, let's
Fortress.
do
They go
Quake
ahead
to 5.
and loot up rather quickly, and then they kind of get options depending on where the zone is actually going. They can stay at their POI if it's moving towards the north, but they also have quick access to multiple mountains on the south side of the zone if it does pull in that direction. They might have to go through a few teams, but it also works.
This
in their benefit.
Cash
They're
V
able to
kid,
get
he's
surge
like,
just
you
like
know,
see
with
there.
Digital.
And all
He's
over
like
the map,
friends
we've
with
seen
Digital
so
or
many different
something.
strategies. Some OG, just like the Bush camp, just wait and see if somebody makes a mistake. And right now, Snake just was a little bit too out in the open by himself. Boogie and Cash, they cash in on that damage.
Ooh.
A little bit of initiation. but
Cash
they have a
cashes
lot
in
to
with
be
that
desired,
damage.
Not too much
Ooh,
medium
that's a
combo here. It's
bar.
gonna be almost dependent on the pistol, and
Salmon,
realistically,
bro.
they need to get back to
I
looting
feel
or
like
finish
this
up
lobby is
fight
like
quickly.
completely
They'll be in for a
Dear-
bad
or
mid-game.
tier
So
3
the Broken
pros.
Sandman.
Like Broken and
One quick
Salmon
little
are
set of
tier 3
eliminations here,
pros.
quickly shorts.
Virgo's
Clean
tier
things
1
up.
now.
That's gonna be the full finish, so they have a chance now to go and get back in the game too.
Like this is all tier
always tell by
3s
the
except for
lack
like
of
Rise,
Builds, of
Curly,
course, what teams have been
Agers,
in
Richie.
extended standoffs, if you want to call it that.
Especially a spot like this where you can easily max out your break, 500 mats there, but seeing how they actually were able
And
to pick up
Salmon's
that
kind of
elimination
moving.
kind of quickly in a 2v1, and that's what happens when you have the numbers advantage. Some teams will back off, let the solo escape, maybe go for the reboot later. Others just simply play aggressive. 3 points per elimination when it's 5 teams getting in through a win, that top 10 going to the leaderboard. Sometimes
why are
3
they
points,
emo-
I've seen FNCS decided by that.
Yo, what are they doing?
Agers, Ritual, taking
Yo,
down
Richie
a
knows
bit of
this
a
is the
trip
worst
here.
seat, bro. What are they
Are
genuinely
they gonna pull
doing,
that
bro?
strategy we saw? Where they throw them in the reboot van and just...
Yo, why are they
Oh,
drones, bro?
no.
Is that what they're doing? Do they have that much time right now?
What?
What's going on? Oh, they're gonna throw them into this and heal
Oh
them?
my god,
Okay.
this is so
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah. I like it.
We're just seeing, and it's honestly, do you give all your strategies here in heats, or are they just trying to put it in a spot that you can't easily grab the reboot card?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
yes,
Or
you can
that,
still
or that.
buy it for 500 gold. It's not as easy to come across that
Yeah.
500 gold depending on where you land.
I like this too. I like this. Like, oh, you want his reboot? Go ahead and build up there. We'll see you when
What
we see
was
you, buddy.
that, bro? What is a stack?
Just like that. I'm not sure what Tapney did to deserve that. You know, I was talking about Agents of Ritual, all business, no games. And I don't know,
Oh, there's
maybe I just-
Skittles, so there's a
It's gotta
decent
happen at least
player.
once. But you have it.
I think that's Skittles.
I actually
That's
did want
probably
to see the
Skittles.
reboot strategy though. Where you just kind of
Yo,
throw 'em
what's
in,
good,
get free
C-Jax?
damage, but
Great.
maybe it's a little bit too early. We are still in
We run
heats,
into
but
Watch
so
Party.
much action going down. We see the Agers, Ritual get an elim, Skittler there, get another
See,
elim.
like, this
and
is
it
what
just
I
goes to
mean.
Show, like, hey, if you're one of those teams
Hey,
that landed
Yoxie
on
and
the
freaking
edge of
JoJo,
the map, depending on
or-
where the zone
yeah.
pulls,
There,
you
it's just
don't
all
really have
Div
much
3
time to
pros.
boot up and get early Storm Surge. And the way these games have been going, I think you said about 86 people up in Game 1 when Storm Surge popped. Well, guess what? Right now there's 81. Storm Surge is going to pop soon.
Oh, Oh, 3,
still on
2,
pace,
1,
right? Very
and he's
fast
dead.
Game so far as the action here on the NA region. Doja and Oxy, very consistent, smooth team.
I know,
They've
I
been in
know.
so
They
many
are
endgame
quite
finals. They seem to have things under control here. You gotta appreciate a team that's just able to kind of farm up good tags, find their knocks, right, and really not have to overexert themselves. They're not even getting greedy to finish up the dealing. So really showing you the temperament, right?
Alright, guys, I'm
Team
gonna
that
go
has been
AFK for like
before.
10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. I'll be back. I'm gonna put this on stream.
Avenger Sniper won the actual fight for Wonky
just come
Land,
back
but
in like
having
10
some
minutes
trouble
and I'll be
gaining some
back.
traction from there. Couple of reboots and Sniper Dude still by himself. Across the map, Slips, Toronto. Decent performance from Toronto and Slips in game 1. 9th place overall with 8 elims, put them 6th place on the actual leaderboard. And if you're looking at consistency, you know, that was actually 5th place because Bucky and Zen have already qualified. So they just have to stay within this point threshold. And with the zone pulling north, the team in front of them, this is not going to be an easy game for Toronto and Slips to make it through.
Good point, man. Having 50 points, you got a huge, I'd say 2 feet in the room, not a foot in the door. You're standing in the room right now because they're on their way. But, you know, for some, you have the pressure of actually having good points for the first time in this type of setting. It could be an extra bit of stress that actually breaks you. Working Sniper Dude in the same situation. We'll talk about teams that are actually looking really good after game 1 here. 68 points for this team. Not bad. And they have the Wonky Land under control right now. There is a team there. But I'd probably assume that they have the damage they need. So we'll see if they actually force this fight.
It's going to be a thin line that they're going up against. Left Team Wagers were actually the team that took down Avenger after the reboot. And you can kind of see they're not necessarily fighting for the points. That's bonus, but it's that mending machine over at Wonky Land. So you can either get the patch up or the actual med kits to extend your stay in the actual storm, which allows you to kind of miss out on this kind of chaotic portion of the game, which is why we see so many teams last season and this season stay as long as they have in the actual zone. Up until I think it's zone 5, it is going to be a 1 tick, then it goes to 2, and then it goes to a 5 tick. And Storm Surge doesn't really even give you the warning until 500 damage. And at 600 damage, that's when you actually start to take the sickness. So for the early portions of the game, Monster, it's a very viable strategy.
You have to appreciate the lengths of which pros find new ways every season, regardless of the loophole changes, on how to extend their lives in the storm for longer and longer. The Freon in Dragon, we're doing the opposite of that. Early positioning here is going to play to their advantage. However, no elims, so this is super important. They land these tags on teams moving by and might even have to overdrive their way into one. There's the minute-half warning now.
Where this end game, I'm not going to say it's starting to scare me, but you can see the waterfall, mountain ranges, hills, dips, dives. So if you're not prepared for a possible end game that can go up and down, a lot of these mountains start to reserve, and think about your material count and resources overall. It could get chaotic, but you see 143 above for the Tick and Mafia. 143, it's above the damage threshold, so you know you're not going to take damage, but it's only zone 4, so that threshold is going to continue to increase. So for the Tick and Mafia, you just got to hope 143 is enough if you're not going to continue to get damage here.
Yeah, this can go either way, but it is not going to be enough to kind of go the distance. We'll see which of these guys ended up cracking first under pressure. Who really, amongst all these duos, needs the damage? They'll be the first to get lobby focused. Day and Scuffy's though on the move right now. I feel like they don't want to have anything to do with these two teams that are trailing behind them right now. Oh yeah, it's gross here. Just picked up his teammate. Oh no, Jesus is having a really hard time with this. He just got rebooted, all of them tagged up. Scuffy's lets his guard down, and that duo from behind insta knocks him right now. And there was, oh no, he was chilling in the bush there, Jacob.
Yeah, this is a dramatic turn of events for Day and Scuffy. They were above the damage threshold. They thought they could take advantage of the fresh reboot. Unfortunately enough, City is just hiding in that bush, gets good damage onto one, and now it's essentially going to be a fight for the reboot. Day versus City here, who's only 3 above the damage threshold, 57 above. So this is going to be one of those fights where even if you win, you can find yourself below the damage threshold. First shot's going to go to City. Day fires back. He has a little bit of a lead over the control, but the third-party shots come in. The elimination goes to Day. Luckily, he's going to grant him that siphon to allow him to stay just a little bit longer in the storm because we know he needs the reboot.
Sometimes you need a little bit of luck, right? The storm getting the finish off, him getting the damage credit, the siphon kicks in. It just doesn't get better than that. Just like that, he might just be able to get that reboot back in here and now, but it could be risky too. Might just call for, of course, that dude to move in. Meanwhile, we're just in Agers. Last time we was here, we obviously saw them just dumping the body up top in the box of Tabney, and they haven't quite left this spot here. They're 800 damage above the threshold, so things have seemingly gone very well for them.
Yeah, we're going to see them kind of use those splashes, get the HP. They have their mending machine that they try to use for a long time. And these tricks right here, they're using the overdrive, getting the effect from the actual shockwave grenade, and then they're shooting the blob, which launches them so far away. And while you see the benefits of Sandy Strip for a team like Ritual and Agers, but as soon as they make it in towards the zone, they become the chosen team. Multiple others start to fire off in this direction, but they make it in on the edge. The pressure slows down, so for now, they're going to be A-okay because they pulled zone as well.
Dang, zone landing right on top of them is perfect. And they'll be able to fish for eliminations. They already know there's all types of teams, not only, of course, in front of them, but the few that were behind them as well. So what a key position to be in, and I don't blame them for going straight into that metal box here. So it seems like everything is just starting to stack into their favor here now, and it's the type of spot they want to be in, too. They seem to have enjoyed the low ground throughout the game one.
If you kind of look at it from the overhead, there are teams around them, but there's nobody that they immediately need to be worried about. Even though we haven't seen them build up and elevate their position, that's just because they're already in zone. We did see Day go down in the distance. Storm Surge, if you're not planning accordingly, it does start to dictate your game plan. You fall below, especially at a time like this. You almost have to fight the nearest team, and that's why you're seeing Curly Rise proactive. They already have their spot in zone, so they're just using their position here to try to get damage on any team shockwaving in.
They're just waiting for the Rangers team to open that box. Seems like they have a little sense that danger might be nearby, so not trying to move too soon. Looking around for tags. Oh no, I was gonna say someone that might be looking to take a fight, but not without the side duo here, so it's going to be a very rough spot to be in for any single player. Let alone a solo right now. Someone just got eliminated to the Storm Surge just right as all that's going down.
Yeah, it would have been a nice try for him to try to get the loot, but you're still below the damage threshold. Timing is just not on your side, and with no extra heals, 132, almost half of elimination here. Just hoping that somebody makes a mistake that he could try to beam, but now falling 300 below. He has to get in the box. Good damage onto one. Almost gets the knock onto JoJo, but it's not going to last. A few seconds. Storm Surge activates and he goes down. You got to give him the valiant effort for that one.
That was crazy, but talk about unfortunate for JoJo and Oxygen. Just the full wrap up too. That timing couldn't have been worse as the fresh metal edit comes through. They were changing layers. It does tend to happen. Coming back with Virgo and Shadow here. 300 damage above the threshold. No elims for this team, but Trouble in Paradise either. They're chopping their way through these enemy builds here, trying to see if there was any danger lurking nearby. They're trying to move their way into the storm here early now. Seemingly safe here, as we call it. The big edit. No shot, though, found in the follow-up. Meanwhile, Curly seems to be controlling a bit of that mid to high ground to be here. We'll see if they end up being the first team going up for the top. Agers and Rituals POV though. 3 elims right now. Again, another team that has had just quite the phenomenal performance here in game 2. Looking way better than what we saw them in game 1 endgame. I like this spot for
Got my wow, just seeing Preston get beamed right there, just kind of getting caught off guard. Now Blake as well going in for the loot. He is below the damage threshold, so maybe can kind of use a fight, but against Curly, against Rise, it may not be the duo I'd want to go against, especially now the third-party shots are coming in from behind. It does still settle for this moment for Blake. He is above the damage threshold, but he is by himself as a solo in 26 place, or 26 teams, I should say, still up. So one more team needs to go down. Placement points will start to set in, with the meat of those placement points coming inside of the top 10.
Big tag right there, the finish as well. Great refresh there in this end game here. And talk about that terrain, right? We saw a little bit of that dangerous terrain before, and this is coming up and over that vertical mountain lip there. So giving a bit of an extra problem to go ahead and deal with. And look at this, it's allowing a lot of teams to start positioning super high up now. So this is not looking like your traditional end game. Almost like a Zone War end game, to be honest, off the layers here. Hobby in a minute, though, have full control of the situation. Calypso's going to go and get knocked there. They're thinking about possibly jumping in for the finish, for the refresh. No, they don't want to give it away. Here comes the choke point from both sides, both angles. Calypso does not get picked up and saved by his teammate. There goes the full finish. Close, but no cigar. Start looking up top. It's the Tickin' Mafia. They're getting a lot of showtime here today.
Yep, unfortunately,
Oh,
Mafia,
no.
I'm not sure what happened to him. Probably got chopped. I don't see any shield, so I don't think it was fall damage. We'll probably figure that one out later, but the Tick, there's no use complaining about it. He has to figure out what he's going to do here as a solo. Top 23, so many points left on the board. So if you're going to have a big game, it's on your shoulders as an individual. And you said it before in that last zone, nobody is really claiming that high ground just yet. Nobody is solidifying as the team to beat up above, but QK, Expo, they're trying to be the ones. They shockwave through the sky. They see nobody claiming it as their own. They said, you know what? We'll take it for ourselves.
I like what they do, getting immediately to the pressure here as well for the other teams on the mid layers. Exactly how you got to play it. You know what? I want to keep eyes on the Tick as well. This is his time to shine here. That game one, like we talked about, there's a few teams that outperformed, right, as they're possibly making their first finals here up ahead. So for them to have a position and opportunity, I think clutch is going to be super important. But Ager's Ritual using that shockwave, not to rotate, but again to give themselves that unlimited stamina here for the rotate. Probably watching it play out there. Pizza coming into hand and going to be the HP heals they need, but it seems like they're going to be having to fight for a siphon here and now. Relating materials for Aegis and Rituals. There goes the edit there, Jacob, and the choke point comes through, and of course, leave it to Aegis to find it.
Yeah, running dangerously low on materials. They know if they're going to make it through the hard portion of this game, top 17 into the top 8 or even better, they're going to need resources. But now both of them missing a huge chunk of HP, all of their shield, but they're still fighting for it. Agers lands a big shot, unable to get the elimination yet. Aminish and Hobby are taking high ground while all this is going down. Agers can't seem to find his way back to Ritual. So now Ritual is going to be left by himself. Curly and Rise, they're getting near that same sort of situation because both of them might be out of builds.
Yeah, Curly and Rise were actually the disruptors to the high ground. Aminish and Hobby took full advantage of that distraction, and now they are up here with no problems. And look, Curly's not done yet. He finds an Elim. It was at the expense of Rise, but it's all good. He's got the pizza to stay alive in the game as well here and now. And it's almost a top 5 situation, so plenty of consistency coming out here for Curly now. Who's left in the game, though? Noisy, Neo still here. Creon and Blake are still also kind of in the mix, but it is not looking good for them as Aminish and Hobby have just so much going in their favor here.
Yeah, even Blake running around as a solo. Him and Curly, the only solos left in this lobby, but that's not going to slow him down. Even Ritual is trying to get into the mix. Aminish using so many of his heals with him and Hobby on the high ground. They have the luxury to do it. But we're going to jump on board Curly. 98 points. Him and Rise are starting to build that momentum. You see the win condition in the back pocket. Multiple chug-chugs. He went through the pizza. He's just trying to last long enough to get these points as Hobby and Aminish are dropping down. They know the time has come. Over towards Sandy's strip. They're trying to get these eliminations. They're trying to force everybody down low to clash as we get into the final 2v2.
This is it. Noisy and Neo. 9 elims, possibly pushing for 10 or 11 here and now, but this building is just buying them so much time now. You couldn't call a stronger endgame, a weirder endgame for both teams. And look, they both have mats as well, so this is going to go the distance. But if you're Minish and Hobby, this is not what you want at all, Jacob. They don't have heals to really go the further, but Noisy Neo try to force the fight here up and over to the side. And Minish goes up just to get that visual from up top. Great tag so far, and this is really going any way right now.
Yeah, he does a pre-shockwave to make sure Noisy and Neo can't shockwave up. He has the mythic, so one pump is around any one of these corners, but Minish is making sure to keep his distance, letting Hobby drop down low, played the disruptor, but the elimination comes through. That siphon on him could be the difference. Could you see his HP going up? Neo with just a sliver left, and they have done it. Noisy and Neo have clutched up and stolen that game away from Rise and Curly.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, and Hobby and Minish, of course, being in the final stretch, they're a good fight there, Jacob, as they went the distance. But who would have thought Neo and Noisy were gonna be the teams to go in and pull through and send themselves straight through to finals? Now, that's a huge win here in game number 2. Heat 1 already starting to give us some very interesting action. And Zeke, we still got the big boys in the lobby.
Bro, why are we coming down to these nail-biter games, man? I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat watching like, wait a minute, and Jacob's calling out this, and oh my gosh, and then boom, it goes the way of Noisy and Neo. For them, this is huge, right? Just think, we come into today, we have 5 games to try and make something happen, and you get a victory out in game number 2. I mean, Kelly, you gotta be like, all right, pressure's off, it's good, I'll see you guys in finals.
I mean, 100%. The pressure was definitely on for this duo, especially considering kind of how new they are as a duo. Noisy and Neo played that in game so well, so patiently. There was a moment there where I definitely thought it was going to be Hobby and a Minish. They played the high ground really passively. But honestly, when you just have more than the other duo, Vivid, all you kind of have to do is just wait a little bit, wait for them to drop down, and that's exactly what Noisy and Neo did.
Yeah, they played that perfect, right? We saw those 2 eliminations kind of happen on the 2 solos of the lobby. So all those materials kind of fell right into their pocket, and something else falling right into their pocket. A ticket straight to the grand finals. And big news here, it's actually going to be the first time we see Neo in an FNCS grand final. So congratulations to him. And for Noisy, just the 4th time over there as well. So like Kelly mentioned, new players to the scene when it comes to these grand finals. But after watching that game right there, they look like that.
Woo! I am excited. Now, of course, action is not over. We've done 3 games. Let's go first, really quick. In case you miss it, the Triple Threat Bundle is out in the item shop right now. Check it out. My gosh. Shout outs to Somerset, to Reddish, and to Foxy. But guys, this is such a amazing time. Again, I can't get over FNCS is back, baby. It feels so good to be back in the FNCS mindset, to see all the pros, to see the kind of tech and how people are adapting. I'm telling you, Kelly, everyone's thinking about that summit. It's in the back of the mind, isn't it? Global is out that far away. Summit, very soon.
It's really added a whole nother level of pressure onto all of our teams. We've never had something like this before. We've seen teams do well in like Major 1, or maybe they don't do well in Major 1 when they're like, oh, well, we still have the rest of the year to kind of prove ourselves, get our spot at the Global Championships. But everyone wants to go to this Major 1 summit. It's something completely new. And Vivid, I don't know about you, but I think a lot of these teams are probably putting in a little bit more effort to qualify this time around.
Definitely. All right, that's why we saw so many switches coming into this specific major, and you can just tell that it's an FNCS lobby. We've kicked things off just by how many players are alive in some of these early games, right? And how Storm Surge is just hurting everybody in the lobby.
3 games more, 3 more victory royales, or we hope to end in the top 10. First, a break when we return for FNCS. See you in a bit.